They strung her up to die in the snow. The wind howled like a living thing, tearing through the narrow streets and rattling the shutters of every house in the village. Snow fell in thick, blinding sheets, swallowing footprints almost as soon as they were made. It was the kind of winter night that made even the bravest souls stay inside, huddled close to their fires, whispering prayers to outlast the storm. But in the center of the square, beneath the cold iron street lamp, a crowd had gathered. They stood in a tight circle, collars turned up, faces hard and unforgiving. At the center of it all was a wooden post, roughly carved, its base half buried in snow. And tied to it, wrists bound high above her head, was a woman no one seemed willing to defend. Her name was Clara Bennett. Just hours before, she had been a teacher at the small village school, gentle, patient, and known for staying late to help struggling children. But rumors, once sparked, spread faster than wildfire in a town that feared what it didn't understand. They said she had stolen from the church. They said she had betrayed the town's trust. They said she was a liar. No one stopped to ask why. The mayor stood at the front, his heavy coat dusted white. "This town has rules," he declared, his voice sharp against the wind. "And those who break them must face consequences." Clara's hair clung to her tear-streaked face, already stiffening in the cold. She tried to speak, but her voice was swallowed by the storm. Her eyes scanned the crowd, not with anger, not with hatred, but with disbelief. She had grown up here. She had taught their children. And now they would leave her to freeze. A single lantern flickered nearby, its light dancing across the snow. A rope wound around her torso, holding her upright against the post. The plan was simple and cruel. Leave her there through the night. By morning, the cold would do what no one wanted to do with their own hands. The crowd began to disperse slowly, some casting uneasy glances behind them, others whispering to justify their actions. "It's for the best. She brought this on herself. Justice must be served." But justice, when fueled by fear, often forgets the truth. Across the square, a figure stood apart from the others. Daniel Hayes. He was a single father, known for his quiet strength and stubborn kindness. Since his wife had passed 3 years ago, he had raised his young daughter, Lily, alone. He worked long hours at the mill and spent every spare moment with his child. The town respected him, not because he demanded it, but because he earned it. And tonight, his little girl had asked a question he couldn't shake. "Daddy," Lily had whispered as she peeked through the curtains, "why are they hurting Miss Clara?" Daniel hadn't had an answer. He stepped forward now, boots crunching in the snow. "Enough," he said. The mayor turned. "Daniel, this doesn't concern you." "It concerns everyone," Daniel replied, his voice steady. "You're about to let an innocent woman die." A murmur rippled through the remaining crowd. "You don't know she's innocent," someone shouted. "I know her," Daniel shot back. "She taught my daughter to read when no one else had the patience. She buys supplies for kids who can't afford them. Does that sound like someone who would steal from the church?" Silence. The mayor's jaw tightened. "The money is gone. She had access. That's proof enough." "Proof?" Daniel's eyes flashed. "Or convenience?" The storm roared louder, as if nature itself objected to what was unfolding. Daniel walked to Clara. Up close, he could see the tremor in her body, the bluish tint creeping into her lips. "Why didn't you say anything?" he asked her softly. "I did," she whispered. No one listened. He turned back to the crowd. "If you want her dead," Daniel said, his voice rising above the wind, "you'll have to go through me." The mayor scoffed. "Don't be dramatic." Daniel stepped closer to the post and wrapped his arms around Clara, shielding her from the wind. "Over my dead body." The words hung in the air, heavy and unyielding. No one moved. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. Justice was supposed to be easy when the accused stood alone. But now she wasn't alone. "You're risking your reputation," the mayor warned. Daniel met his gaze without flinching. "If protecting the innocent costs me that, so be it." Minutes passed. The cold bit into Daniel's skin, but he didn't loosen his grip. Clara's shivering slowed as she leaned against him, drawing what little warmth she could. One by one, villagers began to shift uncomfortably. Mrs. Thompson, who had once thanked Clara for tutoring her son, stepped forward. Maybe we should wait until morning to decide." Another voice chimed in. "We could check the books again." The mayor hesitated. Doubt had entered the square, and doubt was contagious. Finally, he sighed. "Untie her." Reluctantly, A young man stepped forward and loosened the ropes. Clara collapsed, but Daniel caught her before she hit the snow. He carried her to his home that night. Lily watched wide-eyed as her father laid Clara near the fireplace and wrapped her in blankets. "Is she going to be okay?" she asked. "She will be," Daniel said, though he wasn't entirely sure. All night, he kept watch, feeding the fire, pressing warm cloths to Clara's hands. By dawn, color had returned faintly to her cheeks. But the story didn't end there. Because truth has a way of surfacing. The next afternoon, a frantic knock sounded at Daniel's door. It was Mrs. Thompson again, her face pale. "They found it," she gasped. "Found what?" "The church money. It wasn't stolen. It was misplaced in the old storage chest. The ledger was wrong." Daniel closed his eyes briefly. He wasn't surprised. The town square filled once more, but this time the mood was different. Heads were bowed. Whispers carried shame instead of anger. The mayor cleared his throat. "An error was made," he admitted stiffly. "Clara Bennett is innocent." Clara stood beside Daniel, still weak but upright. The same faces that had condemned her now avoided her gaze. She could have shouted. She could have demanded apologies. Instead, she spoke quietly. "I forgive you." The words stunned them more than any accusation could have. Forgiveness is powerful. It forces people to confront themselves. In the weeks that followed, the village changed. People looked at one another differently. They questioned rumors before repeating them. They remembered that fear is not evidence, and anger is not justice. And Daniel? He returned to his quiet life, though something in him had shifted too. He hadn't set out to be a hero. He had simply refused to be a bystander. One evening, as snow melted into spring, Lily climbed into his lap. "Daddy," she said, "were you scared?" He smiled faintly. "Yes." "Then why did you do it?" Daniel looked out the window, where Clara walked past with a stack of books under her arm, children laughing around her. "Because sometimes," he said gently, "doing what's right matters more than being afraid." The story of that winter night spread beyond the village. It became a reminder that courage isn't always loud. Sometimes it's one person stepping forward when everyone else steps back. Sometimes it's a whisper in a storm. "Over my dead body." If this story moved you, if it reminded you that one voice can change everything, then let it inspire you. In a world quick to judge and slow to listen, choose to stand for truth. Choose compassion over cruelty. Choose courage over comfort. And if you believe in stories that restore faith in humanity, stories that remind us who we can be at our best, make sure you subscribe to this channel and join our community. Because every time you subscribe, you help these powerful stories reach someone who might need them most. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and share this story with someone who believes that standing alone for what's right is never truly standing alone. Because the next time the storm comes, someone out there might need a voice that says, "Over my dead body." And maybe, just maybe, that voice will be yours.